Hey now, and Merry Christmas. We are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, working through the holidays to lead you through these hard times. Dada, with episode 833 of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here on Christmas Day to break down everything that happened across NXT, AEW, and AAA. This week, we are also presenting you with an AEW Worlds End Ultimate Preview. So we have an absolutely loaded show, and I am literally not wasting any time off the top. Allow me to remind you that here at Getting Over,
it's all about the fire.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, when you subscribe there, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews across the board. Follow us at Getting Overcast. Like I said, we have a lot to cover. Silver King is taping this between halftime of my Knicks game on Christmas Day. There's also the Dallas Cowboys game happening. It is in the first quarter, and I am trying to get through this show as quick as possible, because I want to watch some sports and I want to chill. It may not be my holiday, but nevertheless, it's a day off, and I don't get many of those. So let's not waste any time. There are timestamps in the episode description. You can skip around as always if you so choose. I hope you listen to the entire show. The order of operations will work as such. We will talk NXT on top, then AAA. There was a very special show last week that we watched, enjoyed. I wanted to break it down for you. Everything that happened on AEW television that does not necessarily have to do specifically with the pay-per-view, including a breakdown of the Continental Classic, and then we will have your AEW Worlds End Ultimate Preview. As I said, there are timestamps. You can jump around, but I do hope you listen to the entire show. So, kicking off with NXT. Surprisingly strong for a taped episode, especially considering parts of it had to be rewritten, and those rewritten parts were some of the best things on the show, if we're being completely candid. Obafemi and Leon Slater did a sit-down interview ahead of their NXT Championship match in 2 weeks. Femi put himself over for backing up all of his claims of dominance and erasing the one mistake he made in losing to Ricky Saints. He said there was a shift in the WWE universe that Cody Rhodes felt at Saturday night's main event, and Slater would feel it at New Year's Evil. Slater talked about being a record breaker and a moment maker who has no intentions of slowing down, considering how important wrestling was to his adolescence and growth as an adult. Oba enjoyed his story, but promised not to take any pity on him. And ultimately, I thought this was a well-done segment. It gave us some needed insight into Slater. I would have preferred an extended profile piece so we could really get to know him. He is the number one contender for the NXT title. And really all we know is that the guy does a lot of great work, and he does it for TNA primarily. But this worked. Oba flexed his commanding presence. Slater gave viewers reasons to get behind him. We all know he's not going to beat Obafemi for the NXT Championship, but it at least gave us a reason to care more about the match than we did going in. Javon Evans and Ricky Saints met in the ring for a face-to-face with Ava, mediating and security surrounding both of them. Evans said he had no reason to talk. He just wanted to throw hands. Saints said the dude can't even rent a car, let alone be the face of a brand right now. And he's way too hyped up for his own good. Ricky said Javon should model himself after him, so Evan shot back that he's jealous because he's not the guy he believes himself to be. Ricky said he checks every single box, but Javon pointed out that he was the one on John Cena's last show. He's the one who's been on Raw and SmackDown. Ricky has not attended, participated, or even been thought about for any of those opportunities. He also said he won't slow down because Saints can't keep up. It's not his fault the fans chose him. And Evans had a great line, quote, "If you keep talking to me like a little kid, I'm going to beat your ass like a grown man." Hell yeah, that's a line. Ava said a one-on-one match next week to supposedly end their issue. This show was taped, I believe, for next Tuesday. I have no idea what happens. If I'm correct that it was taped, which I believe I am. So no spoilers because I can't tell you. It seems a little odd to me, though, that they would start this feud and end it inside a 2-week span. That doesn't sound right to me. Maybe it's a 3-week span. That doesn't sound right to me. Anyway, security had to hold back Javon multiple times. Ricky was mostly calm. It seems like a fast turn overall. But as we talked about on Tuesday's show, with WWE claiming that Evans is a free agent for Raw and SmackDown, maybe this is it. Like maybe he's getting called up at the start of 2026 and He's not going to get the chance to feud with Femi and win the NXT championship. That would explain him winning the Iron Survivor Challenge, but using his number one contendership right away. It seems too clean on the face for me. Like, it seems too easy for them to do it that way. So I still believe he's going to wind up working both brands through the first half of 2026 and then go full main roster when he drops the NXT title. Anyway, the segment was well done from both guys, all things considered. Saints played his heel role perfectly. He allowed Evans to shine and hit him with multiple babyface one-liners. Ricky easily could have outdrawn him on the mic, but he sat back and he let the kid cook, and that was important here. This was one of Javon's, I'd say, 2 or 3 best talking segments ever. United States Championship, Chelsea Green defending against Sol Ruca. Backstage before the match, Sol unintentionally shaded Zarya in an interview, saying the lowest part of her year was losing both of her titles due to no fault of her own. Zarya snarled in the background. Ruca said she's a lucky girl, both getting a chance to wrestle on Cena's last show and having a best friend like Zarya. Sol did her step-off moonsault ringside, then got a wave started. Later, she monkey flipped out of Chelsea's offense, kipped up with a running knee. Green hit Rough Rider coming back, plus an avalanche German suplex from the middle rope. Chelsea tried a double jump elbow drop or a splash, something like that. It was really sloppy, but it was funny. Sol caught her standing with a cartwheel DDT off the top rope, but Ethan Page aided with a rope break. Moose attacked him from behind to even the sides. The distraction allowed Alba Fire to grab Ruka's leg while attempting a soul snatcher. Green hit Unpretty Her, and she retained the championship. Zarya lost her cool after the bell. She speared both heels, and Ruka hit a double soul snatcher as a chaser to end the show. This was exactly what it should have been. The match is what I'm talking about. Sol again proved that she would work as a main roster level superstar. The Ethan-Chelsea relationship continued. The title stayed on Green. The pacing and execution of the bout was largely on point. It was cool the women bookended the show, opened it, main evented. The post-match feel-good babyface moment, for me, it's completely unnecessary, especially the soul snatcher. It would have been fine just doing the spear. I thought we'd get more hints of dissension with Zarya. That never came. All in all, a well-done main event. And if the goal was to send people home happy on a holiday show, then I guess they accomplished that with the Soul Snatcher. Fatal Influence shaded Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray backstage. They obviously stood up for themselves. JC Jane called Kendall the female Mighty Mouse, promising Gray would learn that she is not on her level at New Year's Evil. JC wanted to warm up with Ren next week, and Sinclair accepted. She seized the opportunity. What are the chances this match goes beyond 5 minutes? I'm not even being sarcastic. What are the chances? Is there any hope that we get a 9-minute match with Ren Sinclair? I hope NXT proves me wrong and lets Ren wrestle in a real way for the first time in 2 years. Not going to hold my breath, though. We'll find out next week. The back and forth here was okay. It kind of left something to be desired. Fatal Influence has been much stronger before. Jordan Grace was watching film of Thea Hale's North American Championship win, ensuring that she won fair and square and deserved to hold the title. Thea thanked her for the support and backing, but while Grace smiled to her face, she was still throwing a pity party when she left. Hale's entrance came without the stupid voiceover intro, and that happened last week too, so I actually got to hear it this week and enjoy it and realize it's so much better. Thea said that she realizes last week's result was controversial, but she's head over heels excited and floored that she's holding a title on her shoulder at such a young age. She said all the trials and tribulations were worth it, and she loved her supporters and was thumbing her nose in the face of her haters. Hale said the title gives her confidence she's been lacking, but now she feels like a grown-ass woman. Blake Monroe interrupted her in pajamas, which is really a drastic understatement as to the way this woman was dressed.
It look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
Point being that she was still looking, to be candid, respectful, sexy, despite being depressed in bed, kind of like a wine-drunk woman rolling out of bed and answering the door. That's the way I looked at her. She called Thea a fluke and demanded she hand over the belt when Hale declined. Monroe demanded a rematch. Thea accepted, which Blake took as pity, so she slugged her in the face, and they got separated as she screamed like a banshee. Later backstage, Monroe was looking for the referee that effed on her when Vanity Project approached Blake, putting her over as a smoke show, getting her back, and giving her presents. But they also wondered what it would be like if Thea did remain champion, which obviously pissed off Monroe. This may have been booking completely on the fly, considering the unplanned title change last week, but man, it was quite well done. Hale got her best promo to date, most time to speak as well. She largely did okay. She was a bit shrill, but the passion and confidence were there. Blake was clearly more polished with her presence, and she just commanded attention when she was in the ring, played her part perfectly. The extra backstage bit with Vanity Project was fun, considering those guys' characters. It worked well having them thirst over Blake. They're going to rematch, for this title, North American Championship at New Year's Evil. The obvious expectation is that Monroe will win it back. How NXT goes about booking that match, it's going to be key because Hale cannot just get beaten 7 minutes and call it a day. It might be a case for a dusty finish where it looks like Thea retains, but they restart the match, something like that. Maybe she gets an excuse, but either way, the expectation, of course, is that Blake walks out as North American champion again. Lola Vice fought Izzy Dame. This opened the show. Lola did a nice leaping crucifix pinning combination late in the match. When Shawn Spears distracted, Vice got booted in the face. That led to Tatum literally cutting her way out of the base of the crow's nest with a chainsaw, skin your ass raw, chasing Spears to the back. Vice caught Dame with a back fist and got the win. Kalani Jordan attacked Lola during her celebration, ultimately needing to be pulled off her so she didn't go any further. You could have asked me to predict the finish of this match, and you could have given me 1,000 tries. I'm not sure I would have guessed a chainsaw. So that was delightful. Sensible? No. Delightful? Yes. Both women showed significant improvement, especially working together, considering they're still relatively neophyte. Lonnie's attack after the match made me laugh a bit just because it's tough to take a young woman seriously as a violent heel when she has two fuzzy gymnast buns on the top of her head and she exits to cheerful music. I feel like they're so close with Lonnie, but they're struggling to get all the way there. Good segment overall. Show opened strong. The crowd was hot for all four women. Clearly, they were in favor of Tatum the most. Paige backstage chided Miles Bourne for not listening to him and making the key change that could have put him firmly as the number one contender last week. He related that Trick Williams and Saints realized that, and now both of them are better off basically being a heel, taking what you want. Bourne later spoke with Tavian Heights. They seem to agree that they may need to take a different track in 2026. Then Hank and Tank came through, full of energy, which Heights bought into, but Bourne did not. Ethan shit-talking, it's so effortless. Miles did not say a word here. Paige handled the entire segment himself and basically told two sides of a story on his own before exiting the locker room. That's a professional wrestler right there. We had Shiloh Hill and Skylar Ray against Stax and Ariana Grace in a Christmas chaos match, basically a themed tornado mixed tag that entering the match, I had no desire to say. So the heels kissed under the mistletoe. Grace cried while being stuffed into a present. Ray got thrown into both heels outside the ring. Hill did a keyboard shot that delivered a better sound than most chair shots. It was like a shotgun went off. The women played tug of war with a kendo stick, so the men got underneath them and they did a chicken fight. The faces then put the heels into trees of woe and used kendo sticks on their stomachs. Ariana tried to use a bowling ball on Shiloh, but she swung it backwards too far, hit Stax in the lower region. So Hill took out his tooth, gave it to Grace, and hit a standing flip over senton, which was kind of sick, especially for a guy his size. That was a huge surprise. Ray avoided a charging Grace, who flung herself straight into a Christmas tree in a spot that went way harder than I would have expected. The heels then made out in the middle of the match, allowing the faces to regain their momentum. Hill dumped pine cones on the table, then put Stax through it with a spinning powerbomb, but he basically missed all the pine cones. Ray then beat Grace with a frog splash for the 1-2-3. This went way, way harder than it had any right to go. I rolled my eyes when it was first made and then set up, yet every single stage of the match was better than the one that preceded it. Ideally, the more established team would win this, but you cannot do a fun comedy gimmick match and not put over the faces. I mean it when I say that Ariana's run into the Christmas tree is like a top 25 individual wrestling spot this year. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was memorable. Like, I'm still thinking about it now as we're doing the show. She just threw herself into a tree and it was right up against a barricade. So rather than fall flat, she hit the barricade and then it fell down. It was crazy. And this match, it exceeded every single expectation I had coming in, both in terms of the overall quality and how the LFG winners worked. 3.75 stars B+. It was the match of the night. I'm still in shock saying it right now. And before I forget, this stupid shit with Shiloh removing his tooth that is part of a retainer every single match, that has got to go. It is idiotic.
Come on, Oos. It's a joke, right? It's a joke, Oos. You ribbing me?
Dion Lennox backstage blamed Joe Hendry for costing him the number one contendership, saying he wanted a match with him. As a result, Hendry appeared behind Ava's bookcase, said a couple lines, and then Cutler James tried to act hard in his face. Hendry suggested he give back to NXT for welcoming him with a concert next week. I cannot explain why Ava would not just book the match as requested, and considering New Year's Evil is in 2 weeks, that means we're not getting them one-on-one for 3 whole weeks, maybe longer. Uneven segment just seemed unnecessary. Out the Mud backstage were saying 2026 would be their year when Vanity Project came through, giving interviewer Kelly Kincaid the presence they weren't going to give to Monroe after all because, she got mad at them at the end of that segment. OTM was angry they got interrupted, so the boys reintroduced themselves and seemed to indicate they would be on NXT in the new year. That is good news. They were funny in 2 segments on the show. It's kind of weird they were teased as having 3 presents that they were giving to women, and yet none of them got opened. I wanted to see the really shitty gifts that they got them, especially if they were sexist or misogynistic or, anything that young college-age dudes would give to beautiful women and think they're good gifts, but they're actually not. And it was kind of unfortunate we didn't get to see anything like that. Heights beat Evolve talent Eli Knight in a speed match. Knight hit standing sliced bread and missed some type of inverted somersault splash. Heights won with a belly-to-belly suplex in 2 minutes. This kid Knight he flashed. He's not going to be able to use that name, Eli Knight, on the main roster. Lexus King then beat Andre Chase in another speed match. He won with Coronation in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. These speed matches suck. They are a total waste of time happening on NXT TV. Stop trying to make WWE speed happen. It's not going to happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
So like I said, a surprising quality edition of NXT for a taped episode. We have plenty more to come on today's show. Before we get to that, though, I do need to remind you that whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, WWE Premium Live events on Netflix, AEW pay-per-views that you want to watch, these days, the Silver King is all in with NordVPN. It's easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience. You get high-quality streams, commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover. If you're talking WWE, you open the app, you click connect to another country like Canada, you open Netflix, and you watch the show. If you want to talk about AEW, then you can do the exact same thing. Sign up for an international country and get their pay-per-views way cheaper than you would here in the United States, whether it's with HBO Max or Prime. NordVPN also offers you the ability to get around online censorship and surveillance, protect your private data when web browsing, and avoid online threats. Plus, one account. It can be used on 10 different devices. So get the best discount from the best VPN, nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there's no risk because Nord, it has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your wrestling viewing, save money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN at nordvpn.com/gettingover. We love having NordVPN as the official singular sponsor of your boys right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Now, we mentioned AEW. That is still to come. We're going to talk AAA Guerra de Titanas, which is a special show that WWE and AAA ran at the end of the year. Some big matches on the show. I wouldn't necessarily say any major results came from it, but the matches themselves were phenomenal. It's available on YouTube completely free. You can watch it without commercials if you're able to do so internationally with NordVPN. It's one of the reasons I mentioned it. But for those who didn't watch it and perhaps aren't going to watch it, I actually saw this live. That WWE did English commentary for this, which they have not been for a lot of the shows recently. And it was worthwhile. I mean, I loved it. I had a great time. I'm going to break down the entire show for you. Again, there are timestamps in the episode description. If you're not interested, you can skip over to the AEW portion of the show. But I found this to be really compelling and, worth discussing. And that's why we're doing it. Because after all, here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, it's important to remember
This is my show. My show.
And yes, I did delay a little bit to find that sound drop. Anyway, Los Gringos Locos 2.0, Dominic Mysterio y El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio y Rey Fenix. Somehow, despite both being Rey, which means king, they didn't have a fun team name together. For those who don't know, the original Los Gringos Locos were a AAA stable that started as a tag team involving Eddie Guerrero, and therefore it's pretty cool that they still use that moniker here. The faces, Penta included, all rallied together before the match. Penta was not wearing any type of shoulder brace or a sling. Seems to me like he's going to be back sooner than later. Maybe they save it for the Royal Rumble. This main event of the show, the crowd was crazed at the bell. They were infatuated with all four guys. The pop for Rey just tagging into the match was insane. Phoenix had a great springboard enziguri sequence. Rey stopped Dom's Three Amigos attempt with a DDT. The faces then landed a Doomsday-style seated senton before Dom prevented a 619 with a Michinoku driver. Dom tried to tear apart his father's mask while he was on the ropes. He called for Americano to load his mask. And while I guess Grande lost the steel plate in his tights because he was like fishing around for it, I mean, It took a long time and it looked like he was doing something different, but Penta ran down to stop him in that extended time. He stole the steel plate that was in this dude's crotch, mind you, put it in his own mask, and then headbutted Dom over the ropes. Phoenix out Americano with the Tope con Hero, and Rey Mysterio hit a 619 with his pendulum splash for the win. Despite the positive fan sentiment for Dom and Americano, the fans were fully behind the true babyface side in this match, Rey Mysterio and Phoenix. They were singing, Rey Mysterio's song while chanting Cero Miedo between the lyrics, which was really cool after the bell. Dom pushed away Americano, basically ending their partnership, it seemed. Americano remained getting chants in the ring with the other faces. And when Rey barely extended his hand, Americano reached over, swiftly shook it, and then left. Fans saying grande like Olay. That's how crazy over he was in this spot. Undoubtedly deserved to be the main event, despite facing a serious uphill battle considering the matches that preceded it. All four guys were on point. Putting Rey over on a 10-pole show like this, that was the right call. It's unfortunate that we didn't get the Lucha Brothers as planned, but considering Penta got physically involved, it seems, again, like he's healthy. He'll be okay. The question is, does WWE hold it out to the Royal Rumble, as I just suggested they might, or do they bring him back for this first Raw on Netflix in 2026, which I could see as a possibility as well. 4 stars, A-. And by the way, Dom did seem to hurt his shoulder during a spot with Rey. He finished the match. There didn't seem to be lingering issues. Raw was taped, so we couldn't see if there was a result of it. It is something to keep an eye on, considering it was not just pure selling. He actually hurt himself, and we don't know what that's going to mean going forward. Dragon Lee fought Hijo del Vikingo. JBL sold the hell out of a Vikingo lariat at the bell. While he didn't verbalize much, it was probably one of the most effective announcer calls of the entire year. Vikingo wrestled pure heel, massaged the hatred of the fans throughout. Him wearing all black, it did help to that end. Dragon hit an awesome hanging double stomp. Vikingo was hanging outside the ring when he did it. He immediately sold a knee. Dragon did. He hit an awesome tope suicida cannonball with his body not even touching anything until the literal top of the announce table. Dragon followed with a running forearm only for Vikingo to fly off the ropes for an insane crucifix driver with a top-tier sell by Dragon. There was a crazy counter out of the corner with Dragon fully rolling into a Styles Clash. He followed with a Hurricanrana over the ropes, ringside, and a Tope con Hero that murked the referee, who was randomly ringside checking on Vikingo, out of the ring. Operation Dragon was landed back inside. No one was there to count, so Vikingo gave him an uppercut low blow. Omos then surprised by strolling down to the ring with Vikingo looking scared. He immediately Omos'd Merc Dragon with a last ride powerbomb, Undertaker style, you've seen that before. Vikingo then hit a 630 with a cover that would have lasted 20 seconds. It took Omos a long time to get around the ring, get the referee, throw him back inside, and the ref finally counted 1, 2, 3. Vikingo did not appear to be already aligned with Omos in that moment, except after the bell, a dude came out, hugged him, raised both their arms. I recognize this guy as a AAA guy, a manager, or maybe he's one of the owners or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what his name was. I didn't catch it. I couldn't find it on a couple recaps I looked at to try to give myself more information. But it's a dude that we all, even as people who primarily watch WWE and maybe just started getting into AAA, it's a dude we've seen before. I just don't have his name. Anyway, he raised their arms in the air, basically saying, we're a group. He called them the best wrestler in the world and the best athlete in the world, introducing the newest version of El Ojo, basically the all-seeing eye, the name of a faction in AAA that they're bringing back. Now, this was unfortunate that the match finished this way because it was on its way to an A+ in terms of a grade. But the goal was obviously to develop a long-term storyline centered around Vikingo as the top heel in AAA, which is hugely positive. They're taking advantage of the fan sentiment surrounding him. They're not trying to battle against it and make him a babyface. Even better is that Omos is now seemingly going to get regular work as a heavy for one of the best wrestlers in the entire world. That's tasty. Whether this can build significant interest for AAA, that's tough to say. I don't know the landscape that well, but they are starting to air on Fox in Mexico City next year. This seems to be what they will build around from a heel perspective. Match grade is tough because I like the finish, even though it was messy and sloppy and convoluted on purpose because they were establishing a faction and bringing Omos in. Like I said, it was on its way to an A+. I guess I'm at 4.25 stars A ultimately. And man, did I love that last ride powerbomb from Omos. There is zero question in my mind the Undertaker gave that to him. Undertaker's helping book AAA. When a 7-foot+ dude is lifting another guy in a last ride, meaning he's putting him above his head. That's like an 8.5 foot fall for a wrestler. It's insanely impressive. And if he uses it with any regularity, it's going to be the best powerbomb in wrestling. So this was awesome. It was an A match, whether you're at 2.5 or 4.5, again, it's pretty much the same thing. AAA World Cruiserweight Championship, Laredo Kid defended against Javon Evans and Jack Cartwheel. This came about from a 6-man qualifier. Laredo entered having held the title for 377 days on the back of a 3-year reign from 2019 through 21. Jack did a really cool gymnastic-enhanced springboard self-suplex and later a Sasuke special. Laredo sold a dropkick from Javon like he took a powerbomb. Then he gave Jack what can only be described as a destroyer DDT. Javon caught Laredo with a jump-off cutter on the ring apron using the post. Then he had a frog splash into the middle of the canvas. Laredo came back with a cannonball moonsault ringside, plus a double-stack 450 that clearly hurt Evans. That led to an injury check and a delayed count. Javon caught Jack with a Bazaiku knee, helped him hit a sliced bread DDT on Laredo, and then saw a dude cartwheel out of a cutter attempt. Javon then caught Jack landing on a Phoenix Splash with an RKO out of nowhere, adding a springboard DDT on Laredo for a broken fall. And then, holy shit, Laredo took Jack off the ropes with a backpack moonsault that was absolutely insane. It's exactly what it sounded like. He flipped him fully from the top rope and landed crouched on his back. Hell of a match, boys. Learning more about Laredo's record reign, I thought Javon was a sleeper here to make a major impact and take the title. Instead, he fell to 0-11-1, in title matches since joining WWE, though we do expect that drought to end soon as long as he remains in NXT. At least he didn't take the fall. All three of these guys laid it on the table and went full send. It was an outstanding match. It seemed impossible that anything else on the show would eclipse it, and ultimately nothing did. Outside of Javon taking elbow to the face, it was nearly perfect. Laredo opened some American eyes, hopefully. This guy is crazy, crazy talented. 4.75 stars, A+, match of the night, match of the week. You know what? Might be match of the month outside of John Cena's retirement, and I still think I graded this higher than that. AAA Latin American Championship, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Retindo Durante, Ethan Page. This was not title versus title. Page turned Wagner's mask around so he was blind and hit Ego's edge. Wagner responded with a double jump moonsault. Page stole a wrench, using a belt as a distraction to hit Wagner in the stomach and roll him up with a grab of the tights to seemingly become a triple champion. Seconds later, however, the match restarted because Mr. Iguana ran down to the ring to tell the referee he believed Iguana immediately. The bell rang, Wagner hit Wagner driver, and that was it. This must have been the fastest Dusty finish in professional wrestling history. I have never seen something go 0 to 60 like that. I know it's AAA. The fans are used to a significant level of chaos and convolution in match finishes. But if WWE actually wants this to translate to American TV, you have to have legitimate finishes like this by having it, slowed down, number one. Number two, have a replay of some kind showing the referee on the Titantron. That way someone with authority can restart the match. Not a guy named Iguana who carries an iguana telling the referee something and the guy going, oh, okay, yeah, let's just restart the match. I was ultimately left disappointed that Page didn't win because it seemed like he had. A triple champion is something that never happens in WWE. It was probably 3 stars, B- overall. La Parca y Octagon Jr., Derrotado, LWO Los Americanos y Mr. Iguana y Nino and Burguesa. This was the opener. You could have put this match on any show in front of any culture and it would have worked. I'd have done 25% less comedy if I was booking it. There was a 4-way tope spot. La Yesca helped Joaquin Wilde do his springboard launch down the ramp. Cruz del Toro ate a nasty poison rana. Rayo somehow did an airplane spin of Nino, which was crazy. Del Toro then took a double Spanish fly plus a spinning jackhammer in the finish. Fun way to start the show. 3.5 stars, B. The truth about Mr. Iguana is that as fun as it might be to see him occasionally in WWE or NXT, everything about him is limited outside of Mexico. The comedy works better. The wrestling is crisper. He's just better in the Lucha Libre environment. JBL spent a lot of time trying to get Hamburguesa over, by the way. I don't know why, but he was all about him. 2 huge moments for AAA this week, one of which came after this match. First, Bad Bunny partied with some Mexican luchadors, including Iguana, and he held La Yesca. This was in just a clip that went around on social media. After this match, Canelo frickin' Alvarez was revealed to be hiding in the crowd under a La Parca mask. For those who do not follow boxing, Canelo is the guy Arguably the most popular athlete period in Mexico. Think like Tiger Woods level. The crowd popped massively, and that got WWE so much freaking exposure over there. I guarantee it. Pagano y los Psycho Circus, Derrotado los Wyatt Six, and Carnival de Carnage. Based on the video package before the match, it not only was more exciting, but better built than anything the Six have done on the main roster since maybe their debut. This started in a literal bounce out and proceeded into a carnival area that was backstage. PP, I believe her name is PP, forced Joe Gacy to kiss her. Then everyone went to the ring where the Six were in the middle of destroying Psycho Clown when Pagano, who took a massive powerbomb through a bunch of tables earlier, limped to the ring with a kendo stick. The Clowns completely took over from there with one 350-pound guy, I think his name was Murder Clown, doing a splash on Eric Rowan ringside. Clown then reversed Dexter Lumis into a Clown and Uncle Howdy. Both of them flew off the apron through a couple of tables. Clown finished Lumis with a Death Valley driver into a prop table. Lumis landed nasty, rolled out of the ring immediately after that. This was wild. It was just straight wild. Pure chaos. 8 dudes doing all types of shit along with some surprises. I'm not even sure how to grade it. It was entertaining. 3.25 stars B, let's say. And lastly, Natalia, Lola Vice y Fabi Apache, Derrotada, Las Toxicas, I believe is how you say it. Natty teamed with Lola for a heart attack. Apache landed a dragon suplex basically out of nowhere for the win. 2.5 stars C, easily the worst match of the night, and it didn't seem like much effort was put into it in terms of a booking, purpose. Anyway, there was a storyline, but it just didn't seem that interesting. And that wraps up the show. I mean, like I told you, super entertaining. I would go watch it. If you say Silver King, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. What should I actually spend time viewing? I would do the final 3 matches. The Cruiserweight Championship, Laredo Kid, Javon Evans, Jack Cartwheel. The tag team match I mentioned with the Mysterios, El Grande Americano, and who else was there? Rey Fenix. And then the Dragon Lee Vikingo match. I mean, all 3 of those were bangers and super, super entertaining. The rest of them you could easily do without. So that wraps up everything from WWE and everything adjacent to WWE on this episode of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. It allows me to remind you that here on the show,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Support us as we continue to support you with performance-enhancing audio. Again, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. We would greatly appreciate your subscription. Moving over to AEW. First, we're going to break down, as I said, everything that happened on TV this week that perhaps did not directly relate to Worlds End. And then the back half here will be the AEW Worlds End Ultimate Preview. AEW literally aired an entire video package about 35 minutes into Dynamite, putting itself over as where the best wrestle because it won a bunch of awards from Sports Illustrated. I legitimately could not believe what I was seeing.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Tony Khan tweeting about this was pathetic. Spending time on your weekly TV show, filleting yourself because you got some worthless online awards. And please realize, I say this as the host of a show that gives out worthless online awards. This was vomitacious. It was straight up embarrassing, douche chills galore. My Lord.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
Let's get into breaking down the actual content on the show. Outside of the Continental Classic matches, 3 of the other 4 came without a shred of storyline relevance. There were 11 Continental Classic matches on the taped shows, which really hurts the excitement aspect of seeing where people fall in the tournament and how those results are going to affect each other when they're spoiled potentially because you could just see what the results are. But even so, there's so much less drama getting to the next match when it's all pretty planned and they're shoving them into a single episode and you have people wrestling in consecutive days. So let's go through the Continental Classic here. Jack Perry beat Mike Bailey. Jack bit Speedball's bare foot and then won with a back suplex. I shit you not. That was the match finish. He bit his foot and won with a back suplex. Luchasaurus then came out in a Santa hat and gave Bailey a toy, which Bailey then gave to Perry. The whole point of doing a Santa gimmick is to give shit to your fans, to the kids. Why would Bailey want a gift when a dude just ate his foot? And then why would he give him that gift? Good job for biting me and being a cannibal. Like, what was that? Kevin Knight beat Kazuchika Okada with a rollover inside cradle. Both guys and Don Callis sold the upset incredibly well, but AEW didn't really let it breathe. They cut away to show the stupid standings. This was very much of a WTF are we doing here booking decision.
What is going on?
Like, the gimmick is that everyone in the Gold League is tied at 6 at this point. That shows parity. But considering the differential of the talent involved, Kazuchika Okada, Kevin Knight, it's kind of silly to book it that way. You could have 2 or 3 people tied. You didn't need the whole league tied. Konosuke Takeshita beat Orange Cassidy, his wheelbarrow German suplex. It is such a great looking move, man. Cassidy hit Orange Punch and Beach Break on the apron before Takeshita kicked out of 3 pinning combinations, rolling out of the third into Raging Fire. Excellent finish. Terrific show opener for Dynamite. This clinched him a spot in the finals, and it was the match of the night. Mascara Dorada beat Roderick Strong. That was necessary, considering, I assume still, he's going to be the number 1 contender for Claudio Castagnoli after the tournament. He won with a really nice shooting star press. Nothing else that notable here. Perry beat Pac, which was such a ridiculous decision in my eyes. AEW had a chance to really get behind Pac, given he beat Fletcher last week, and they just tossed it in the bin by having him lose to Jungle Jack. Pac basically no-sold a Poison Rana onto the top of his head. He stood straight up. Then he locked in a Brutalizer. Perry got a rope break, so Pac locked it back in, but Jack bit his hand and then won with a Casadora roll-through. So he's bitten 3 separate opponents now in this tournament. Like, what the hell are we doing? He's Jungle Jack. He's not some... Like, he's still a normal dude. He's not some, like, animal. He's out here. It's so frustrating. So I'm going to pause here to let you know that AEW, for some reason, is airing Collision on Christmas Day after this show gets published. This is happening while the NFL and NBA are playing games head-to-head. The reason this comes up here is because, obviously, the show is taped, occurring before World's End. It includes 6 Continental Classic matches. So unless we delayed this episode until Friday, which is not going to happen, I had no choice but to read spoilers about the matches. Now, people are saying this was a great wrestling episode, but they say that about every episode of AEW TV, whether it's great, whether it's terrible. So I don't know if it's great. Maybe it is. What we are going to do is give you the match results without any additional details because we haven't watched them. I'll let you know on the AEW Worlds End Instant Analysis whether any of these matches are so must-watch that you should do so despite the tournament already being over at that time. That's another reason why this is problematic, because people are, it's Christmas. People are traveling. They may not see the end of the tournament qualifying before the final 3 matches of the tournament on the pay-per-view. So super frustrating. Kyle Fletcher beat Perry. I wonder if Jack bit Kyle like the rest of them. Takeshita beat Dorada, which was to be expected. Strong beat Claudio. I guess so he just wouldn't go winless and look pathetic. Odd to put him over the CMLL champion like that. Knight and Pac fought to a time limit draw. Probably the right move considering the odd booking of each of them. And after some big wins, they shouldn't really take another loss. Mox beat Orange, which was the right call. But considering they've had him win so much recently, it kind of feels like they're going against his prior booking. And then Okada beat Speedball. Thank heavens. So we'll circle back to the semifinals and finals momentarily. All of them are on the pay-per-view. On Dynamite, the Young Bucks revealed that the Elite reunion is bittersweet because they are not going to be cleared for the remainder of the year. The interviewer said, quote, "Looks like you aren't going to be tagging together for quite some time." And Kenny Omega said he has something to take care of himself anyway. This show aired on December 24th. The rest of the year is 7 days. They said they're going to be out for the rest of the year. That's a week. They treated this like they're going to be out until 2027. In terms of what Omega said, I have a feeling it will be him going back to the Andrade attack. Seems like they may do that again. Andrade looks to be signing with AEW. It seems like he's gotten out of his WWE contract clause that he violated. Omega has 3 people he needs to get revenge on. The other 2 are in the Continental Classic. Maybe they do a surprise match at World's End or next week on Dynamite. We'll see, but this was really, really poor. On Dynamite, Bandito beat Ricochet to win the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Ricochet did a mule kick low blow, but Bandito countered a Spirit Gun attempt that followed into a Crucifix pinning combination to get the dub. Ricochet kept attacking out of anger, so Brody King saved. So the brand new national champion took an L here. That means Bandito should be getting a national title match sooner than later, except by winning the ring, he's going to get an AEW title match on January 14th. AEW changed the rules of this ring 4 times in as many years. Doing this while simultaneously running the Continental Classic, it was just ridiculous. This guy gets a main title match, whereas the other dudes are running themselves ragged for the 3rd or 4th most important men's title in the entire company. Just, it doesn't make sense. On Collision, the Rev Pro British Women's Championship was on the line. Alex Windsor beat Mercedes Moné in 9 minutes to win the strap. This was an open challenge situation. Windsor caught her with a pinning combination. It's a huge positive that Mercedes is losing these straps. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with the lesser titles that don't benefit AEW from putting them on TV, unlike their own ROH title and this Rev Pro title because of the UK relationship. It's kind of hysterical. The strap just switched to another AEW signed talent, especially since Windsor had 4 title losses in 10 months before this and kept getting opportunity after opportunity. And you could argue she didn't deserve this one either, but because it was an open challenge, that's totally fine for her to get it. On Dynamite, Marina Shafir beat Mina Shirakawa via countout with Mother's Milk. Yes, this was a real match that was booked, and that's the real result. Her finisher is cradling another woman against her chest. It's supposed to be like an inverted sleeper hold. It doesn't look good at all. Shafir called her a bitch a bunch of times. She put the move back on after the bell, leading Toni Storm out. Storm, the top woman in the company, ran at her. She got booted in the chest, and she fell on top of Mina like she got shot in the heart. Knocked out with a boot to the chest. Toni Storm. AEW is really trying to make Marina Shafir happen for some reason. She didn't wrestle a singles match in 2 years. She's had 2 in 3 weeks, but they've been trying since the Death Riders to make it seem like she is someone legitimate that you should care about as a wrestler. And I'm sorry, stop trying to make Marina Shafir happen. She's not going to happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
That may be the first time we've played that twice in one show. And lastly, on Collision, Eddie Kingston beat a jobber who I guess is aligned with GYV. I haven't seen them on AEW TV since May or August, late spring, early summer. And they were ringside with this random dude that Kingston beat. And that's it. So that allows us to move into the AEW Worlds End Ultimate Preview. Right now, it's an 8-match card. I am sure that AEW is going to add another during Collision and probably some equivalent kickoff show matches as well. I believe that Omega match, they might surprise with it, but again, I don't know that for sure. So let's go from the bottom of the card to the top. We're going to break down every single thing that happened on TV related to these matches. We're going to give you some predictions and what we think is going to happen moving forward in AEW Creative. Darby Allin against Gabe Kidd. Yeah. Darby Allin against Gabe Kidd. Silver King, where did that come from? I'm going to tell you. So Darby was randomly back on TV. I guess he's been cleared after not being allowed to continue the Continental Classic. Got attacked from behind by Gabe while doing an interview about a match challenge he apparently made. Kidd dragged him to the top of some stairs just so he could kick him back down the stairs. And the result of this was a pay-per-view match 4 days later with no stipulation. They brawled and beat each other down, Kidd mostly, in an area underneath the arena, dirty with bricks and shit. And they're just going to have a regular match. You're not going to do a stipulation. This was ridiculously dumb. I guess there's a chance Allin loses because that's how he's been booked since taking down Mox. They've been having him lose regular matches. I can't imagine they don't have Darby winning this spot. There's a lot of heel stuff on this card. They're going to need some babyface moments. So I'm picking Darby, but I definitely could see it going the other way. Tag Team Championship, FTR defending against the Bang Bang Gang in a Chicago street fight. This is going to be a rematch of something that happened 10 days before the pay-per-view, with FTR having already retained the titles over Bang Bang Gang. Why the hell is this getting run back on a big show? My only guess is maybe Jay White returns here, so they wanted to have some kind of moment, and Jay helps them because it's a street fight, beat FTR, but I got to go without that and just book based on, or predict, based on what the booking is telling me. And if it's 2-on-2 and Stokely's there and that's it, then I have FTR retaining the titles. I can't imagine they would take the titles off FTR. Women's Tag Team Championship, Babes of Wrath defending against Mercedes Moné and Athena. On Collision, the Babes are going to beat a couple jobbers. It was booked just to have a women's match on the show. I mean, why bother to use other talent, create storylines for different women in the company? Just throw jobbers out there. That's all they need. In terms of match quality and star power, this deserves to be on pay-per-view, no question about it. The reasoning for it's very weak. I mean, Mercedes and Athena literally lost in the tournament to crown new champions, and they didn't win anything to then earn this opportunity. They just kind of challenged for it, and they got it. It's going to be a solid match. I have no doubt about that. Either Mercedes or Athena could take the L. I assume it's going to be Mercedes to continue her quote-unquote losing streak, but I cannot imagine the Babes of Wrath drop these titles after being named the inaugural champions. Either that, or AEW just wanted to do it so it didn't look like it was giving something to Mercedes, and now that they had the feel-good moment, they switch them. I don't think Tony Khan is that dumb. He makes a lot of bad booking decisions. I don't think this would be one of them. So I have the Babes of Wrath retaining the titles here. Women's Championship, Chris Statlander defending against Jamie Hayter. Stat and Hayter did a face-to-face randomly standing on the entrance ramp. Stat called herself a pitiful loser who couldn't win gold. She didn't call Hayter this. She called herself this. But she realized her sob story is over because she's champion. So don't pity her for what she went through. Fear her for what she has become. The second line there was good. Everything that came before it in her promo was nonsensical. She also spoke like a robot until she got hype at the very end, almost like she was trying to remember her lines. Stat also called herself the Cosmic Killer, which is a horrible nickname. Hayter tried to swing at her. Stat caught it, and then they just jawed at each other. She didn't try to punch her back. Don't forget, she took Haterade to the face a couple of weeks ago, and then she swung at her here, Hayter did, and Stat's like, nah, I'm just going to hold your arm and we'll yell. I don't want to punch you. It's like they tried to put Hayter on the heel side, but didn't give her any ammunition. She didn't say anything in her promo that was like, yeah, I'm a bad guy, or, yeah, I'm going to tear you down a little bit. This came across as heatless to me. It was an awful segment, did not raise the rent at all. AEW, it seems like they're trying to push Hayter a little bit here, but every single time she's had a little momentum, you've seen it just completely dissipate. And I see no way they're taking the title off Stat, who beat Tony Storm, I want to say twice, pinned her twice, beat her straight up once, and I think beat Mercedes as well. And you're going to put Hayter over her? That's not happening. So Stat should be retaining the title here. Continental Classic. The two semifinals are going to be Okada against Takeshita. They're from separate brackets. And Fletcher against Moxley, also from separate brackets. They take the top two in each bracket. They fight them against each other. And then they do the finals. It's 4 heels, by the way, in the Continental Classic. 3 from a single faction. 2 that have already defeated the others, potentially fighting again. This is clearly purposeful and thought through, but I'm wondering if the ramifications of the booking were actually considered. I legitimately believe any combination of these 4 is possible, and there's no doubt we're going to get 3 tremendous matches. I love the formatting of putting the semifinals and finals on the same show. That's what WWE should be doing with King of the Ring, except now it's 2 tournaments at once. That's basically impossible. You can't put 6 matches. I mean, WWE many times doesn't even put 6 matches on a single PLE. And they could, in theory, for King and Queen of the Ring if there were big names in them. But, I understand just doing the finals. They should probably do the semifinals on SmackDown and the finals on the PLE the next night. I digress. Back to AEW. In terms of these 2 matches, again, any combination of the 4 is legitimately possible. They really should be using the Continental Classic as an opportunity to take that title off Okada, end the Unified Championship, let him be international champion, and let Continental exist separately. The problem is, when you look at these matchups, the first one being Okada and Takeshita, you say, well, out of those 2 guys, someone has to win and someone has to lose, obviously. Do you have the guy lose who's the international champion? Do you have the guy lose who's the IWGP heavyweight champion? And neither is a good answer. Like, you theoretically don't want either guy to lose. And if you do, you want them to lose in the final, which is why I'm shocked that this is a semifinal match instead of a final match. I figured this was going to be how it ended. For me, Okada has an excuse. He can cheat to win. Takeshita cannot. That's not the way his character is built. And when you have Okada, who, has the ability to cheat and isn't shy about doing so, even though he's great and all those things, that to me is the out of the match. So I have Okada beating Takeshita, increasing Takeshita's hatred toward Okada. It's mostly been Okada hating Takeshita to this juncture, and that should blow up in them having a title match at a later juncture, whether it's for the IWGP Heavyweight, the International, both of them. I don't know, but I think this is, because it's not the last match between them, which Takeshita should win, and it's the first match between them, it really should be Okada. So I have Okada on that side. Then you have Moxley and Fletcher. Fletcher's already lost a couple times in this tournament. Moxley did as well, but Moxley's been on a winning streak on the back end. On top of that, it's like, if you do Okada and Fletcher, I mean, how many people from his own faction are Fletcher, going to fight during this run? It seems endless. Moxley's a bigger match. I think it would be a more interesting win or loss. And ultimately, Mox just kind of deserves to be in that spot more than Fletcher does. So I'm going to go with Mox, and then it's Okada and Mox. And the question is going to be whether AEW is continuing the Jon Moxley losing storyline. They're going to excommunicate him from the Death Riders or not. It seemed like they were going in that direction. All of a sudden, he started winning. I mean, he was losing everything to Kyle O'Reilly, and he's beating everyone else. And it's just like, really? That's what you're doing? So, yeah, I don't know. Man, this is tough. Like, it probably should be Moxley winning and then losing the Continental Championship in short order and then Death Riders turning on him. But I think we're going to come out of this show with Okada still the unified champion, defending his Continental Classic crown and walking out with both straps. I don't think that's what they should do. I just think it's what they're going to do. So I have Okada over Moxley. But like I said, if it ends up being Takeshita and Fletcher, like, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But I don't think that the least likely outcome here for me is Takeshita walking out with the Continental title. That makes the least sense because he's already IWGP Heavyweight Champion and because Okada is technically the holder of it at this time. And that brings us to the main event. AEW Championship, Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland, and MJF in a fatal four-way match, which on the surface looks amazing. Let's go over the go-home. MJF beat a jobber with his hair looking absolutely ridiculous. Like, did this guy go for the deluxe hair plugs or what? Like, what did he ask for in Turkey? I want to know. Not because I need them. Silver King has plenty of hair. But I want to know, like, what was on the order form for him to get what he got. Then he grabbed the mic only to get interrupted by Hangman standing in a balcony. Then we saw Swerve standing in a different part of the balcony. Page dared MJF to cut a 1990s style misogynistic, morally reprehensible promo on them, saying casting directors wouldn't like that. I mean, this guy's been cast in plenty of stuff, despite doing that publicly on television for years. Then Hangman referred back to the idiotic P. Diddy comment, saying he could refer to MJF as one also. He could pick any sex pest that out there because there's plenty to choose from. If you ever needed to know that Hangman is like too online reading Reddit and everywhere else, the term sex pest is what you needed to know. He was basically trying to do the B Rabbit shtick from 8 Mile, tell these people something they don't know about me, except without even half of the gumption, much sloppier, and in a relatively idiotic way. So the Ops Dojo dudes ran down, but immediately got flattened as Hangman and Swerve both tried to swing at MJF, missed, and then just stopped going after him. Joe appeared on the big screen, said a bunch of nothing. He's like, I know those Ops Dojo dudes wouldn't do anything to you, but I wanted to get your attention. How about like sending out your guys, Powerhouse Hobbs and Shibata and like, and the other dude, Hook, almost forgot his name. Send them out. Let them actually try to beat these guys down. No. He sent a bunch of dudes that he knew wouldn't make an impact. That's what Joe said. MJF, outnumbered 2-on-1 and a heel. He had 2 full minutes to leave the ring. Instead, like an idiot, he just stayed there, tried to attack these guys that hate him, and failed. He took house call, and then Page choked him with a big chain as Swerve cut a promo calling him a ton of names, including a bigot. Hey, Swerve, what kind of bigot is MJF? Can you expand on that? What are you saying he's prejudiced against? That is not a term you throw around about somebody, and it is not something AEW should want one talent calling another, even in kayfabe. MJF should not have called him P. Diddy, and Swerve should not have called him a bigot. Swerve also said MJF has power, which makes him toxic and more like P. Diddy than he could be. That did not make any sense because Swerve, he wants to be champion and have the power. Swerve then name-dropped Pinnacle, Wardlow, Jay White, and Adam Cole as people worse off after dealing with him. Is that a bad thing in wrestling? Like, shouldn't MJF be wearing that as a badge of honor that he outlasted all these people who disliked him? Or are we trying to break kayfabe here, saying that he's ruined their careers in some way? Because that's patently ridiculous. And we know he's not the one who ruined Adam Cole's career. This was a horrendous segment, all of it. I'd go into even further detail, but it's Christmas Day, and I've already laid it out for you as part of my breakdown. Actually, I will add one more thing. Hangman went from burning down a dude's house to, if you say mean things, I'm going to tell your employer, like a male Karen. Woof. The only thing this succeeded in doing is making me hope MJF wins the title because of how ridiculous that would be for a guy to look this pathetic on the go home and get called a bigot only to become the company's primary champion 4 days later. That was where my head was at. So yeah, man, I don't know what is going to happen with this match. I do know the go home was awful. You know, ultimately you would think Hangman needs to get revenge on Samoa Joe. He's the one that cost him the title. He should want revenge on Hook first, take Hook out, and then get Samoa Joe. But we just ran that storyline with him needing to go through Death Riders to win the title. But that's what makes sense. Swerve has previously defeated Samoa Joe for the title. MJF just returned cashed in his contract stupidly. To me, he didn't do that because, he's going to win the title here. He did it so that way AEW could get out of the stipulation and just move forward with the other plans that they have. So I don't see any of those guys winning this strap. You just put the title on Joe. None of these guys, I'm just being like completely honest, historically, none of these four has champion draw ratings. So there's no benefit to taking it off Joe. And again, it just feels like a mishmash title match for a year-end pay-per-view with a bunch of stars in it that they want people to buy. And that's not negative because there's a lot of star power in this match. And I have no doubt it's going to be awesome because these are four excellent wrestlers. But do I come in with some major expectation where, oh my God, I can't wait for Saturday to see this match? No, that's not how I feel. So I have Samoa Joe retaining the title here. That means no title changes on this entire show. I'm bound to be wrong because of that. Something's got to swap. I can't imagine Joe, Okada, Stat, Babes of Wrath, and FTR all leaving as champions, but those are my predictions going in because it just feels like that's what World's End is. A show that shouldn't really be on the calendar, except it is because AEW wants to have something at the end of the year. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be a surprise title change or two, and it'll make it super interesting. So that's the full breakdown for AEW World's End. Here, before we move on, we need to give you a pre-show expectation grade. I'm actually pretty interested in the card. I think match quality-wise, it has a great opportunity to deliver, but you get to the bottom three matches, Darby Kid, FTR Bang Bang Gang, which we just saw, Babes of Wrath, Mercedes Moné, and Athena. Those really aren't much. The women's championship match, I just don't care about. So for me, the whole show hangs on the Continental Classic and the four-way for the AEW title. I'm coming in 87 out of 100, B+. That's my expectation. That's a solid grade. It means it's going to be an entertaining show. But do I think this is going to be something spectacular? I don't. Do I believe that the AEW fandom online will call this the greatest pay-per-view of the year by the time it's over? Most likely, as they do every single show, but that's not the world we live in here. We live in reality. And I think this will be a B+ show. And again, we will give you a final grade, and all of you will have the opportunity to vote and share your pre-show grade and final grade during the AEW Worlds End Instant Analysis podcast when this show airs. So the way you can vote in both of those polls, follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments about the show, and you can vote in both on Twitter. We post a poll before the show and a poll after the show. I know what I just said was a little bit convoluted. Obviously, you can't vote in both during the show. You vote in one before and one after. You got the point. Follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. On YouTube, when you subscribe over there, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews. Don't forget, here at Getting Over,
It's all about Defy.
so head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it right here on the program. And please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. You will get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Please support us as we continue to support you with performance-enhancing audio. Buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. I hope everyone who it's applicable had a Merry Christmas. I hope everyone else had a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa coming up, and a Happy Holidays in totality. We have plenty of Getting Over episodes left for you before 2025 is out into early 2026. Not only are we talking WWE, NXT, and AEW, we will have a 2025 year-end review and the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka the Meaties, all coming up right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. It is officially time for the Silver King to sign off and leave you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.